Oh, are we going now? Somebody once told me this sweater makes me look like an alcoholic that may or may not have recently fallen off a wagon. My name's John Long. I'm the co-creator of Campy Night, which I don't think we've ever actually explained. So I'll do that now. So Mike Payne and I went to school in Flagstaff, Arizona, and while we were going to school, we started having what we called Campy Night. I'm not saying camping, I'm saying Campy, C-A-M-P-Y, because what we would do is go to Hastings and we would rent 3 or 4 of the worst movies that we could possibly find and watch them and make fun of them, and sometimes even find ones that were actually pretty good. Found one with Steven Dorff where he had to fight Genghis Khan's illegitimate kid in an office building or something. I think it was called Botched, but it's been a while. We watched Dead Meat and Black Sheep and Zombievers and in all fairness, actually, we'll name Slither too. So all 4 of those are a weird subgenre of horror that have zombie animals for some reason. Probably shouldn't be a genre. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so we started the Campy Night Facebook page to basically argue about stupid movies and argue about who would win in a fight, like Sam Elliott's mustache versus Kurt Russell's mustache, or if you woke up from a coma and you had to choose, would you pick Channing Tatum or Ryan Gosling as your husband? And, do you go by beard length or dancing ability? So, important questions. But anyway, I gotta quit saying anyway. I'm gonna do my best to not cuss through these, which is inherently almost impossible because we're Marines and we don't have excellent mental filters. But that's the basis of Campy Night for the most part. And so now I'm going to start doing movie reviews. But I don't want to do the movies that everybody sees. I want to do the Wolf of Snow Hollow or the Cleansing Hour or the Soul Collector or just the Collector or the Collection. That was so bad. Anyway, that's the point. Point is that I want to start doing these weekly to maybe shed light on a movie that maybe you never heard of or you saw on a shelf once. Oh, I should mention that I actually still live next to a video store because apparently when I bought my house I moved to 1998. But either way, I have a video store next to my house, so when I say shelf, I literally mean shelf, but most of these you can rent on Amazon or Shudder or anywhere you can find bad movies. So every video is probably going to start with me staring awkwardly at the camera because I just don't grasp how this starts, and if you hear me yowling, it's because there's a cat. It's nothing crazy. So I'm John Long, and welcome to the first review for Campy Night. I'm going to do a movie called The Mortuary Collection. Now, I watched The Mortuary Collection on Shudder. I think I pay $5 a month for Shudder through Amazon Prime. It's like its own separate channel through there, and it basically just keeps me in garbage horror movies. So that's a win. The Mortuary Collection is a little different than a lot of horror movies that I've seen. It's an anthology, which if you've seen, I guess the Tales from the Crypt series is technically an anthology, but that's separate episodes for different things. But Tales from the Hood 1, 2, 3, those are all anthologies. Creepshow 1 and 2, those are anthologies. Trick or Treat, the ABCs of Death, VHS, those are all different anthologies. Anthology is basically just several short stories put together that keep a common theme, and a lot of times I actually can't stand anthologies because I feel like once I start to even kind of get connected to the characters, that it just filters out and the next story starts and you got whole new characters, and it's just I don't like the short format. But in this particular case, it actually worked really well. This was written and directed by Ryan Spindell. This was actually his first feature-length film. He made a couple shorts previous to this. The Root of the Problem was in 2012. He made Bundle of Nerves in 2014. But his direction is very interesting. Interesting enough that when the movie started, I actually paused it so I could see what it was rated, because I thought for a second I was watching a kid's movie disguised as a horror movie, and I was about to be super pissed. But it's not a kid's movie, so you're good there. But the beginning has a different kind of feel to it. The overall movie has a sort of Guillermo del Toro feel, but he actually reminds me even more of like early Peter Jackson, like what he did when he directed Dead Alive. That same feeling, or The Frighteners, when Michael J. Fox is driving through the hills with that weird ugly bug he had, and it had that same, the music, the tone, the coloring, like he was definitely feels like he was influenced by them in the best ways. And this actually stars Clancy Brown, who Clancy Brown's one of those people that everyone knows, even if they don't realize they know him. Clancy Brown was Guard Hadley in The Shawshank Redemption. He was the Kurgan in The Highlander. He was Private Zim, who finally caught the smart bug in Starship Troopers. And for those of you that are probably too young to watch this show or are constantly high, he's also the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. So pretty much everyone knows who Clancy Brown is, even if they can't pick him out of a lineup. So he actually plays a mortician who tells these different stories to a girl that comes in, and basically all of them kind of keep the same idea of like a moral dilemma and how it turns out for them in the end, and everyone pays for their mistakes. The villain always loses, kind of thing. And he basically tells her these stories to give her an idea of, well, she wanted horror stories, but he's trying to tell her tales of morality, and they're actually very well told. There aren't too many other big name actors in it. There was the real pretty kid that's in Kissing Booth. He basically looks like Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill decided to have a kid so they could have a perfect Clark Kent. What's that kid's name? Jacob Elordi? That sounds like a thing. That's fine. I want to say it's Jacob Elordi, but anyway, he's super pretty. He's in one of those. And then there's Jennifer Irwin, someone else that probably only I would know, but she showed up in like Superstar and No Strings Attached. But doesn't matter. They just have different segments, have different people in them, and all of the stories actually were really well done. And what I liked most about what Spindell did with this is that a lot of times when you watch anthologies, the main story, the reason all of these tiny stories are being told, often gets lost in the mix, and that story fails, which for me doesn't bring them all together and doesn't make it a cohesive movie. But Spindell did not forget the overall tale, and it was very clearly his actual focus, and for me that made it worth watching. So I think that you could do worse things with your time than find the Mortuary Collection, either I think you can rent it actually on Amazon Prime. You can get it through Shudder. If you've never had Shudder, you can actually do a free trial either through the app itself or through Prime, or you can somehow you still live next to a video store too. You can probably rent it. It came out I want to say 2 weeks ago. So anyway, thanks for listening. This is the first one. I'm hoping to do these possibly weekly. I just want to bring attention to movies that maybe you wouldn't have watched to begin with, or maybe you wouldn't have heard of to begin with. And I thought Spindell's take on the anthology was a good one to start with, because it's definitely one of the better anthologies that I think I've ever seen. So, thanks for watching.